In this video, we're going to be talking about fun outdoor activities for toddlers. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about parenting, good communication, child development, and how to build strong family bonds all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. But in this video, we're talking about having fun outside with toddlers. In this video, I have a bunch of great outdoor activities that you can do with your toddlers that aren't just fun, but enriching too. We all want our children to be learning while they're having a good time, right? And I think some of these activities might even surprise you. The first activity that I have for you involves just a regular rope. Now, this is a rope that you can get at any hardware store, super easy to come by. And when you have a rope, you can do so many things with it. Be careful that they don't start tying each other up. I have seen other people's children do that before, and that's not a very safe activity. But anyway, this rope, you can put it in a straight line if you want to, and make a tight rope. So this would make it so that your young toddler would have to learn how to walk in a straight line on the rope. Then you can make it a little bit more complicated, and you can put it in a squiggly line. You could call it a snake, and then they have to walk on the snake. Okay, and that's super fun for them to walk on snakes or maybe circles in spiral patterns. Other things that you can do with just a rope that help them learn things but also have a fun time is create a game where they jump. So they might jump across the rope and they would turn and jump back and jump back. They could even jump backwards across the rope. They could hop as they jump across the rope too. The toddlers are learning lots of dexterity at this time. So to be able to stand on one leg or to do one leg and hop over the rope, that's going to be something that's going to help them with skipping and other activities that you might want to play with them, things like hopscotch and stuff like that. So this is a really great game, but you can call it things. You can make it an adventure, like you're going on a tiger hunt and you have to stay on the path, you know, or you can lead to trees and they have to go around the tree. There's a lot of fun things you can do just with a simple rope. In fact, you will notice with a lot of these activities, they're super simple because you don't have to buy complex things to entertain a toddler. Okay, so this is called treasure hunt, and who does not like to dig for buried treasure? That's so exciting. Now, this is obviously not my normal sandbox. This is just a box, and you can put your dirt in a box if you want to, or you could just use a sandbox that you already have. And you could go out there and bury household items like little matchbox cars, or in this case, I've got, you know, the little light switch covers that they're used to seeing, marbles, things that you might find in your junk drawer. I really like this one, the little googly eye. And so just these little things. So then you go ahead and you bury them, okay? Bury them, the treasure in there, and then let your child uncover the treasure and find where the treasure is. You know, you could leave a little out so it's like, oh, I think I see something that might be a treasure. Anyway, you make a little mound on this one. Boy, he's big. I don't know if we'll get him all the way in there. I think I needed a deeper treasure pit here for these things. So anyway, you bury your treasure, right? And then you let your toddler dig through it. Now, if it was deeper, it would be way better. So then you can give them like a little rake or a shovel, and they can start digging through and see what they find. Oh, I found something. What is this? You know, and they're gonna dig through and see what else they uncover. So if they had a bigger surface area, obviously, it would be even better for them to work with that bigger surface area. But it's so fun. They absolutely love just finding little ordinary things in not ordinary places like the dirt. So a treasure hunt, super fun. So our next activity is the crayon slide, but before I tell you about the crayon slide, click the subscribe button now when you subscribe to this channel. Then when you open up YouTube, you'll be able to see more videos just like this. Okay, so this is just a normal toddler slide. In fact, this is like a dinosaur toddler slide because I got this toddler slide at a garage sale when I had my first child, who is 27. You know, hashtag little tykes. I love little tykes. Their old stuff lasts forever. I'm not sure about the new stuff. I haven't bought a ton of it recently. But anyway, so if you have a little toddler slide like this, or even if you have a play set that has a regular size slide, what you're gonna wanna have is you're going to need a slide and then paper. Like a roll of paper would be really nice. You can see we've created a little bit of a roll of paper here by taping some papers together. But you can also just get very cheap rolls of paper that you can buy, and you would run a roll of paper down the slide and then tape it. So that's important so that it's fairly secure on the slide. Then you also need crayons, okay? So let me show you how this works. Your child climbs up the slide, you give them a crayon, maybe an orange one and maybe a pink one in each hand. And then they're gonna go down the slide, but they're gonna have their hands behind them so that they drag the crayons down the slide so that then they can see what type of a shape that they made. So we've got our toddler sitting on the slide, and I wish I had a real toddler here to show you today. My grandbaby would be perfect for this, but alas, she's a little bit too far away today. So they would sit down and they would put their crayons in their hands behind them on the slide, and then as they go down the slide, they would just draw on the slide as they go down. So then they would see, oh look, I made that shape on the slide. So that's so fun for them. Not only are they learning colors, but they're learning cause and effect and what these things do. They draw as they go down, right? So then what you can do is you can also put multiple colors in their hands. So in this case, we've got 3 different colors in their hands, and they could see what would happen when they go down the slide with multiple colors in their hands. So now there's like this rainbow effect that they get to see, oh, look at all the colors and all the dips and lines and how it happens. So this becomes really fun. What usually happens, just so you know, is after they run down it a bunch of times, they start trying to push the colors up the slide too, because they want to see how the color goes on the slide as well. But it's just so fun to have this canvas at this incline that they can slide over the top of. So much fun. The next activity is toddler ball. Balls are so much fun. I've always kept 1 or 2 of these on hand. Even to this day, now I'm the grandma, I still always buy these outdoor playground balls because, well, they last forever and they can be used for so many different things. So toddlers, once they can run around, they can learn how to kick, right? So learning how to kick this ball is going to be a lot of fun. In fact, they can learn how to kick all different sizes of balls. You could get tennis balls, golf balls, these types of bouncy balls, balloons, and you could teach them about weight just by letting them kick different things. But you can also play kickball with your toddler, which is super fun. And there's 2 different ways that you could play with this ball as you play a type of kickball or baseball with your child. So number 1 is the usual way where you gently roll it at them and then let them kick it. Then you pick it up and chase them as they go around the bases. You chase, I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you. And sometimes they get all the way home and sometimes they get to the base and sometimes they don't. And you tag them out. You'll have to gauge how often your toddler needs to win, right? That particular game, but super fun. So another way that you can play is by using a tee and a bat, or just a bat, depends how advanced your toddler is. But if you have a tee where you can set this on something to support it, sometimes, you know, for a ball this big, you might have to create a tee, but some tees will hold a ball this large. And then if you have a toddler bat, this bat can hit this ball very easily. It can also hit it on the ground. If your toddler isn't as good at kicking, but maybe they could hit it on the ground like a golf club, these types of things are so great for toddlers developmentally, but also can create hours of fun as they try to master how to hit that ball so that they can run around the bases and get you to chase them. Other games that you can play with this ball include dodgeball. So even though you might think that your toddler is too young to play dodgeball, obviously we don't want the type where people get hurt and it gets super intense and competitive, but they could be throwing the ball at you, trying to tag you as you're in a little circle, maybe made out of sidewalk chalk or maybe out of the garden hose. Okay, they're throwing it at you, and then you could try to throw it at them too. This is a fun game to play when you have multiple children that are going to be playing together. Another game that's really great for toddlers is 2 Square. So you know the game 4 Square, where you draw the squares on the cement, right? Or maybe on the blacktop. Well, you can just draw 2 squares. In fact, most driveways or cement sections are broken up nicely and evenly into squares. And so if you find some lines in the cement, then you can practice hitting the ball to each other or passing the ball to each other over the cement. And then you can start doing things where you're bouncing it really big over the cement too, because then that gets exciting. You could practice doing bubbles as you pass it to each other over the cement, or maybe you have to bounce it twice and then pass it. All of these things are going to be teaching your child something, and so developmentally they're getting a gain while having fun bonding with you too. What toddler does not like to play in the dirt and mud? They all do. They like to squish it in their hands and see the impressions that they make when they're touching it. So I love making mud pies and mud handprints. So get yourself some paper plates out and start doing some mud baking. In fact, just pushing hands into the mud, making designs into the mud is all kinds of fun. And there's even more things you can do with the mud too, like mud painting. So once you've made a good loose batch of mud, so you'd want to put a lot of water into this mud and probably put it in a bowl or a bucket, then you can take a paintbrush, dip it in the mud, and you can start to paint, but probably not on the walls. You'd want to paint on the concrete. Tell them where their boundaries are. You can paint in this one area on the concrete, or you can paint this rock. Or if you want to, get out that roll of paper again, roll out a big roll of paper and let them paint with mud on the paper. Now let me tell you another thing that toddlers love. If you don't want to paint with mud, but you do want to paint with something that's really easy to come by, pudding. You can paint with pudding. Mix up a batch of chocolate pudding and you can paint with that. They can eat it too. Or you can do finger painting with the pudding. Super fun. Speaking of painting, why not get the house cleaned and teach the children how to paint the house at the same time? So toddlers love feeling like they're doing something really grown up. So give them a brush, a nice size, a bowl or a bucket with some water in it, and then let them paint the house. That's fun, and guess what? It cleans the house at the same time. Now I know it's a little silly to teach them to paint the house, but they think it's great, especially if your house shows the difference with the paint. So depending on what type of rock, brick, cement, or wood covering you have on your house, this could be fun. Now if the house does not show it up as much, then maybe paint the rocks outside your house or paint the fence. But there's gotta be something that you could paint where that water would show. Be sure to tell the toddler though that we only do this with water and when mommy or daddy is nearby. The next activity is shadow tracing with chalk. Super fun activity, teaches children the shape of things, also starts getting them interested in drawing. Chalk is super fun. Pull out your sidewalk chalk all summer, all spring, as long as the weather holds. This is a great activity to do, I would say, once a week, because the children love the color, the artistic outlet, and just learning how to get that dexterity going with their writing. All right, so this is John's shadow. And you can see that John, who is actually a grown man, looks really tiny with how the sun is right now. And that's a fun thing to show them. So what I would do is I would have them make shapes, and then I would outline their shapes with my chalk. Whoops, there's John's thumb. Oh, his hand looks very funny. We would go all the way around John's ears and his hair, his other ear, and then his fingers. Now John could make all kinds of silly shapes when he got into this, and he would have all kinds of fun. There you go, step back, John. There's John's shadow. It's so fun for them to step back and take a look at what they look like when they're in a picture, just like that. So teaching them about shadows by tracing the shadows are fun. And then of course they could fill in all kinds of details like an eyes, a nose, a happy face, or they could draw their clothes on themselves as well, which is super fun for them to do. So we've been painting the house. Was that a little bit surprising? Digging for treasure might be slightly surprising, but I think this next activity will really be surprising. Did you know that children love learning activities that help them communicate better with you? Well, it's true, they do. Now, I teach parenting and self-government all over the world, and I teach 4 basic skills to children. So these 4 children's books each teach one of the 4 basic skills that I teach to children. I also have a whole program called Teaching Self-Government for Parents, and you can find out about it at teachingselfgovernment.com, which is where you can find these books actually. So these books each teach one of the 4 basic skills that children can learn very young. My granddaughter is 20 months old and she can do these 4 basic skills. So what can she do? She can follow instructions. There are 5 steps to following instructions. She can accept no answers and criticism, accept consequences, and disagree appropriately. So let me tell you what's fun. You read one of these stories and then you act it out. You pretend, you role play, and you play with it. Especially your 3- and 4-year-olds will absolutely love the role play activities. So take some time to learn something that's going to be super helpful. It's going to make all of the days better when they know how to say okay, be okay. They know what calmness is, what it isn't, and how to choose to be calm. Now, just so you know, these 4 skills are for the children, but you'll need a few other skills as the parent too to help teach your child how to do these 4 basic skills. You can find all of these things at my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. Go to the shop tab and you'll find information about these things and more.